Okay, welcome to all of our attendees joining us via Zoom. Just give us a minute. We're going to get started here. We're going to start streaming to Facebook Live, and we will get started in just a minute.
We have some new people on the line.
Thank you to everyone joining us today on the Zoom webinar. We are going to get started in just 1 minute. We're about to stream live to Facebook. Okay, welcome everyone on Zoom, and welcome Councilmember Camus and Director Rosalynn Hughey.
Thank you, Amal, and welcome to our Community Connections with District 10 Councilmember Johnny Camus. My staff is standing by here to help us answer questions. So if you have questions, please write them in the comments section if you're on Facebook. And if you're on Zoom, enter them in the Q&A section. Just to remind you, in April, we launched this Community Connections live video Zoom. And each week I try to put in new guests, and you know, we've heard from the Chief of Police, and now we have our great guest today here from our Department of Building Planning and Code Enforcement. So if you'd like to hear from somebody, what segment you want, and I know that you guys enjoyed the cooking segment. So if you want to hear from somebody from city, or just let us know what you'd like to hear from. As a reminder, we have our mid-May edition of our newsletter coming up this weekend. And if you don't receive my newsletter, please sign up for it at sjd10.com. And this one is going to be full of resources, and we're going to be talking about the budget. And our last one had a lot of police statistics. So if you missed that one, you can go on the same website and look at our archive. So, and to update you a little bit about some new programs that we are talking about in the city of San Jose, the San Jose Public Library, who we will have Jill Bourne on soon, has a new program. It's free for early education services for families to enjoy from home. So there's a couple of new services for families during the shelter in place. The first is Stay and Play. It's a lineup of live virtual programs to engage children, hosted every weekday at 10:30 a.m. on the Early Education Service Facebook page on Zoom. The second program hosted by our public libraries is the Caregiver Cafe series, which takes place every Monday at 8 p.m. And it's a space for caregivers to chat and connect with adult peers in an informal setting and to discuss, with the discussions led by the library staff. Our city is also beginning the first phase of our park amenities reopenings. And so you may have heard this already, but I went out today and saw one of these services opened up, and it's so a lot of our golf courses are opened up. Los Lagos golf courses, Rancho del Pueblo, San Jose Municipal Golf Course, a lot of the other public amenities, horseshoes, bocce balls, all kinds of amenities that are now open from our in our parks department. But bathrooms are still closed, so bring your own face mask, of course, and sanitizer if you're going to enjoy these services. And this week at City Hall, in fact, we just left a meeting a few minutes ago where we were discussing how to close a $72 million budget shortfall for this upcoming fiscal year, which starts on July 1st. As you recall, we've already had to close a $45 million budget deficit, and in the current year that we're in. And if you'd like to chime in and let us know what you think about services that you'd like to preserve, or you'd like to see us how to give us advice on how to generate more revenues, or where we can cut costs from, please get involved in our budget meetings. And we've posted those online on Facebook, on Twitter, and you can also find out where these budget meetings are being held at the mayor's website, sjmayor.org/budget. And we'll be posting that for you after this meeting as well. We're also having an all-day study session, as we did today, on the budget. So you can always raise your hand and ask questions if you join us on the live feed. Also want to update you on our pavement project story map. The Department of Transportation has released a new pavement story map and it basically on their website. And it's an overview of our paving projects that we're going to be completing in our city. And you could drill down and find out, it's a 3-year plan, and you could find out if your street is going to be maintained. And so you can, log on the Department of Transportation's website. And by 2028, our staff assures me we'll have repaved every road owned and managed by the city of San Jose. That's well over 1,500 miles of local and major streets. I'm so excited about that. I've been working, I call it the 3 Ps: parks, pavement, and police. One of my biggest priorities when I've got into office, and I'm happy to see that we're moving it forward. Anyway, so I'm really excited to now. I'm going to have Amal introduce our special guest, Rosalynn Hughey. So, Amal, can you please introduce our guest?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Director Rosalynn Hughey. If you can please start your video so we can have you join us today. Let's see if we stopped it. So with a career in urban planning that spans 30 years, Rosalynn Hughey has a passion for city building, placemaking, and civic engagement. She serves as the director of the Department of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement for the city of San Jose, and provides leadership for the city's broad range of planning and development services, including stewardship of the Envision San Jose 2040 General Plan. Rosalynn is a senior fellow of the American Leadership Forum, Silicon Valley. She is a member of the American Planning Association, including the Big City Planning Directors Institute. Rosalynn is also an active member of the Urban Land Institute, serving on the executive board of the San Francisco District Council, and selected as a 2017 fellow of the Rose Center for Public Leadership in Land Use. Welcome, Director Rosalynn Hughey, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening. Thank you so very much for having me. Delighted to be here.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. I know that both of us just left an all-day meeting, and I'm so happy that you actually look better than me. And so thank you for joining us. I think I was trampled by the goats in back of me there. I know you have a slide presentation, but let me ask you what your, so that's a huge title, Director of Building, Planning, and Code Enforcement. Can you go into what each of those responsibilities are for you? What is it that you do?
Thank you so much, Councilmember Camus. And yes, our department and our team, we have a pretty broad scope Actually, you'll find in many cities that planning is its own separate department, but we get to be integrated with both the building services as well as code enforcement. So we like to say that, we cover all aspects of development and construction and the built environment, from when an applicant is just beginning to think about a project and is coming up with plans. So that means the planning process is happening. They're getting their entitlements approved. And then once that's done, they then transition to the construction part of the project, which means they are submitting construction drawings that our building division is reviewing, and at some point will issue a building permit so construction can actually start. We like to say for our code enforcement division that this is perhaps an area that we hope most of our applicants don't need our services, because when our code enforcement inspectors are out in the field, obviously we're there to correct perhaps a problem or an issue that a resident or a business owner has noticed. And then our team is there to make sure that properties are in compliance with the city's ordinances. So it is a broad scope of work, and we work hand in hand with other city departments as well, such as transportation and public works, housing, and economic development.
Great, and thank you, because a lot of people don't know exactly what you do, and I hope that shed some clarity on it. I know that the Santa Clara County Department of Health has actually cleared construction to start again. Does that mean you've opened your doors for accepting permits or coming in for plan review checks and whatnot? Are your doors open yet?
Yes, so all of our development services are active, and actually we have been able during the shelter in place order to actually quickly pivot to actually deliver our services remotely. So as I mentioned, on the plan review side of our work, our staff have been working remotely. They've been reviewing plans. They've been conducting environmental analysis for projects. We've been intaking applications, and we've actually been issuing permits as well. So that work has continued. There was, for a point of time under the county order, when construction activity was limited, actually quite restrictive, so that at one point only construction could continue on affordable housing projects. But as of May 4th, now all construction activity can continue. So now we have our inspectors conducting inspections on site at those construction jobs.
Well, that's good, because at least in my neighborhood, I see a lot of home remodeling going on, and I'm glad they're doing it legally, so that's a good thing. Yes. I know that you brought us a video, so I actually have a list of questions, but I have a feeling that your slide presentation will answer quite a few of them. Did you want to do that, Rosalynn, or did you want to roll with questions instead?
Yeah, we're sorry to interject. Yeah, we're going to start sharing the presentation, and we'll just go through it that way.
Okay.
Great. I'll be happy to share. So I think, yes, the first slide I just wanted to share with the community, and Councilmember Kim has just actually touched on this, that we've actually been able to continue most of our development services during the shelter in place order. And so this slide here just demonstrates the data, the numbers, what we've been able to accomplish. And this information is between March 16th, when the order first went into effect, through April 24th. So we have a little bit of updating to do, but you can see in those about 6-week time frame, that we were able to deliver quite a bit of services to our customers. So well over 600 building plan reviews were completed. And again, our staff is working remotely. So all of that was done remotely. We were able at different points during the shelter in place order to actually conduct some on-site inspections. And so we were able to get over 2,000 of those inspections done. One thing that we are very excited that we were able to quickly pivot to in our inspection services is remote building inspections. So we are now able to do inspections by video. We were already testing out this concept and training our inspectors on it. So we were able really to quickly implement that. And as you can see, we've done, continue to intake on building permits, issue building permits. Our hearings have continued. That's another aspect of our work. We've been excited that during the shelter in place, we've been able to continue planning commission meetings, historic landmark commission meetings, as well as our planning director hearings. So a lot of projects have been able to be approved during this time. And projects keep coming in the door. We're very excited that we still get new planning applications. And then our partner department, Public Works, has also been able to continue offering its services. So the next slide talks about our online permitting. And I think this is something that many of our residents, particular homeowners who have small projects that they want to undertake in their homes. There are a number of permits that you can get online. All you have to do is register on our public portal, which is sjpermits.org. If you go to that website and register your information, your property address, we can get you set up to actually apply for a set of minor permits online. Generally, for these particular permits, no plans are needed. And obviously, we can take your payments online or through a wire transfer. The next slide will share a little bit about our video inspection. So as I just previously mentioned, we're super excited that we were able to really start implementing this a couple of weeks ago. And again, you can go to our public portal, sjpermits.org, to schedule an inspection. One thing that we did develop, because we know video inspection is very new to our customers and to contractors. So we've developed a set of instructions and guidance for the contractors to actually conduct the inspection. So we have this bulletin available on our website. And then finally, I think actually the next slide goes into detail about the types of video inspections that we're actually able to conduct. And again, most of these would be for small home projects, such as replacement of appliances, furnaces, re-roofs, gas meters, gas pressure, battery storage brackets, for example. So these type of smaller projects, we can conduct remote video inspections. And so the next slide, I think I just wanted to share a little bit about our accessory dwelling unit program. You're probably aware that the city is quite interested in promoting this particular program. We think that this is actually a way to increase our housing stock and really provide a housing product that's perhaps more affordable for many of our residents. And so we've been promoting ADUs doing shelter in place. We think that although people can't get out, that people might have some time while they're at home to actually start planning their ADU project. So we have tremendous amount of online services. We have an ADU universal checklist that homeowners can go through to see if they qualify. They can get all types of information about the zoning requirements, setback requirements, height requirements. And we also want to promote for homeowners who are interested in building an ADU that's 750 square feet or less. It's actually can be cost effective, and we can likely help to get you through the process faster. So you can see that new state laws have actually waived some of the impact fees to make it more affordable for people to choose to build an ADU. So again, here you see our website. You can go to sanjoseca.gov /ADUs for more information. We have a ADU ally. Her 100% job is to serve our customers who are interested in ADUs. So you can contact her at her email address or at the phone number. And I think lastly, I just wanted to share with the community that how timely this community connection event is. If you want to go to the next slide, because May is Building Safety Month. And obviously our department celebrates all that we do to make sure that all of our buildings throughout the city are built safely and are maintained well. So just wanted to throw that plug in for the community as well. Thank you.
All right, Rosalynn, I don't know if I can get my camera back here. Let's see. All right. Maybe Amal just doesn't want to see my face. Yeah. This is what our listeners are paying the big dollars to see my face, and I can't turn my camera back on.
There's some remote technical assistance here. Oh,
there you go. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go and ask you a couple questions, and then I have some questions that I have from some of the people that are submitting questions online. You know, a lot of people think that it's so difficult to get a permit that you practically need a lobbyist. And you just talked about how easy it is to do an ADU, and you did talk about some home remodeling things. But since I've been in council, since I started office, I think we've had some huge changes in the building and planning department. It's become much easier and it's much faster, easier, and cheaper, in fact, to do home remodels. When I first came into office back in 2013, I think home remodels were at least 60% more expensive. And there's a member of your staff, is Chu Cheng, actually created something called a small project desk. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. And Chu Cheng is a remarkable person. He actually serves as the city's building official. And he's been with the city for quite some time, and he is always about finding ways to help our customers. So actually several programs that he has put in place. First of all, we have an express appointment process for our customers who qualify. If they make an appointment and have all of their plans in order, we can actually meet with the customer, their design team. And what we do is we bring in all of the other staff from the other divisions and departments. So we have a representative from planning, from building, from public works, from the fire department, if that's needed. And we all get together in a conference room and review the plans. And at the end of that time period, and usually it's about 90 minutes, the customer can walk out with their permit. And we've had that program in place now since Chu has been on board, and it's been extremely, extremely helpful for our customers. He also instituted what we called a small business ally program. We have 2 individuals who serve, their exclusive job is to work with our small business owners and helping them navigate the permitting process. Many of those customers have, their dreams of opening up their own business. And so these two folks help them with all of the zoning requirements, the land use requirements, assisting them applying for the building permit, and actually, hand holding them through the process. And it's great because these two individuals speak Vietnamese and Spanish. So it's extra service to our customers in the community.
Yeah, like I said, I've been really proud of the work that the Building and Planning Department has done to streamline, reduce bureaucracy. I think we need to continue to do that as well. And one of the things that I'm super proud of that your office has done recently is this video inspections. I think you briefly came out into it, but I think this is a revolutionary way of doing things. Are you the I don't hear any other cities doing this. Are you pretty unique in this inspection process?
Thank you, council member. I do believe we're probably one of the first in the Bay Area. I recall when we first went into sheltering in place, actually the planning director in the city of Oakland was calling me like, Rosalynn, how are you guys handling this? What are you doing on inspections? And when I shared with him, hey, we've started to implement remote video inspections, he was quite surprised because they hadn't been able to get that going in Oakland. So I honestly, I think probably one of the first cities in the Bay Area to implement this. And we're going to continue to use it. We're going to continue to prove upon it as we go along.
Well, again, my hat's off to you. I'm not wearing a hat, but my hat would be off to you because you know what, this actually could help you streamline the whole appointment process too, and actually get more, efficiency out of your inspection department, which we just can't hire enough people to man, right? I mean, we've had so much, vacancies in the department. Can you talk a little bit about the vacancies, and if anybody's out there and wants a job, how do they apply?
And we're now even more challenged, unfortunately, with the budget situation that we find ourselves in. But thankfully, late last year, we made some gains in filling a number of our vacancies. I actually shared during the budget study session this afternoon that in the planning division, at one point last summer, we probably had a 35 to 40% vacancy rate in our planning division, which you can only imagine how crippling that is in terms of being able to deliver services in timely manner to our customers. But at the end of last year, we were able to onboard a number of new planners, and now our vacancy rate, I think it's hovering around about 6%. So I'm very thankful, particularly before, the impacts of COVID-19, that we were able to onboard a number of new staff, particularly in the planning division, and get them going on their projects. We will continue to have to, think about the vacancies in the building division as well as code enforcement. In the Bay Area, we had been in a very, very hot market. And finding inspectors and engineers has been challenging. Just the amount of job opportunity here in the Bay Area has made it challenging for the city, and not just San Jose, but other cities as well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're able to bring down the vacancy rate, and I hope that we can keep that true. We actually received many questions that are actually not pertaining to your department. We had one from Chris about a service road above Colleen Avenue from Snell Road to Almaden Lake is a potential fire hazard. That is most likely a Department of Transportation issue, and I'm going to have my staff work on that one, unless it's a code enforcement issue. But it has nothing to do with somebody's house. It sounds like a road.
Yep.
So yeah. But let's take his question. If one of his neighbors has 7 feet of weeds in his front, I mean, I get this question occasionally. let's say your next door neighbor doesn't maintain the front of his or her property, and the weeds are 7 feet high. What do you do? Do you call your department?
Absolutely. So we have a process where our residents can call in and register a complaint, and you can do it anonymously. That's not a problem at all. And we'll take your complaint. We'll open up a case and have one of our code inspectors to actually go into the field and inspect the site, the property, the situation, and contact the property owner. One of the things we like to say in our code enforcement service is that we always aim to help the customer comply. Right, we never want to go out immediately and issue fines. Certainly, we would never want to seem like we're harassing property owners. We want them to comply. And many times, many property owners aren't aware, right, of the rules. So we help them, remind them, like, this is what's required per the municipal code. So we always work with owners to come into compliance.
That's good. That's good. This is another one, actually doesn't pertain to your department either, but I want to be fair and ask it. It's from Kelly. She sent it to us by email, and this is about leaf blowers. And she said that the gardeners are blowing, debris in the air. She's concerned people using these leaf blowers are putting others at great risk of viruses such as the cold flu and COVID-19 and cancers. Why is it acceptable? People want to clean the air. They should use a rake, broom, vacuum. Why is this legal for gardeners to use leaf blowers that blow dirt all over people? And is this something that I mean, for one, I know it's not illegal, and your department can enforce it. Is there anything that you can advise Kelly?
Well, actually, this subject the council has dealt with. I can remember maybe perhaps it was the last year that there was a proposal for a policy priority item to actually ban gas-powered blowers. And that particular, item, it went through the prioritization process. It didn't make the priority list, but I know that it's something that many of the council members are interested in.
Well, that was actually my memo.
I was thinking that it was, council member.
That was, I'm not trying to promote myself, but it was mine. It didn't get the priority. So it's
Right.
not illegal. So, I would have to say, Kelly, you have to convince 5 other council members. Yeah. All right. I had a question. You said the ADU lady, but you didn't say her name. Who is the ADU lady? Or do you not want to announce her name?
Our ADU ally, her name is Sarah Shull.
Okay, good.
SHULL. And in my slide presentation, let me see if I just give out.
You gave a phone number or something, yeah.
Yeah. So if you email adu.allly@sanjoseca.gov,
Yeah.
you will reach Sarah.
Okay. And I could tell you that a lot of people don't know what ADU is. A lot of time we have these political jargon. Can you explain what an ADU is and how big of a house can you put on in your backyard? And how big does your lot have to be to have an ADU?
Yes, so ADU stands for accessory dwelling unit. People also refer to them as granny units, backyard cottages. I know it's also marketed as a backyard home. So basically, it's a second unit on your property, on your lot, that serves as a dwelling. And many of our residents, obviously we're in the midst of a housing crisis, have chosen to build ADUs in their backyards, really for a number of reasons. Most of which we hear from our customers as a way to age in place. So Oftentimes, they're either build the ADU for an adult child, or they build it, older customer may build the ADU for themselves and allow adult children to live in the primary home. Obviously, other customers are interested in rental income, and we know how important it is to increase the housing supply in the city. And the one thing that we think is great about ADUs is that really they're affordable by design. Many of the units, in fact, I visited a unit that was 495 square feet, and it was absolutely beautiful. It had, the living room, a kitchen, bedroom, full bath. And it was just absolutely beautiful. And actually, this particular owner was building it for his mother. So yes, a lot of interest in ADUs, a lot of benefits for homeowners, and again, for people interested in renting. And I just encourage those of you who are interested, our website has tons and tons of information. The checklist actually goes through all of the zoning requirements, talks about the heights and setbacks, how large they can be. And actually, the state is really encouraging ADUs. And so we have kept up with the new state laws. ADUs are now allowed, for example, on multifamily lots. You can, in many instances, have a second ADU. Junior ADUs are now allowed as well. So there are many, many options for homeowners.
That's wonderful. That's good to hear. I heard that the website also includes like a pre-approved plans if you have if you have an interest in something like out of the box, ready to go. Is that true?
That is true, and thank you for reminding me of that. I can't believe I forgot to mention it. Yeah, so we're delighted that we are working with, I think we probably have 3 or 4 different companies now who have gone through our process. And so they have gotten their particular plans for their ADU unit pre-approved by the city. So if a customer chooses that particular company and their plan, they've really right there already cut out a lot of time in the process because the plan is pre-approved. We can get them through the process faster. And there's actually one company that their plan sets have been approved. They also build ADUs. So it's not only just a contractor, but someone to design it and actually build it and deliver it, in essence, to your lot.
That's wonderful. And so I'm going to go to Emma on this. There's a lot of people on this. There's 16 viewers on Zoom alone. I think there's been a couple of questions. Emma, can you read off the questions, or are any of our listeners going to go live with a question?
Yeah, and I do want to remind anyone that's listening, participating in Zoom, if you do have a question, please type it in the Q&A. And if you're on Facebook, please type your questions in the comments, and we will try and get to all your questions before the end of this session. The first question that we have is from Jose, and he asks, now that inspections are starting up again, how will you handle scheduled inspections that were canceled due to COVID-19? How are they being rescheduled moving forward?
Great question. And we are spending a lot of time prioritizing and developing a strategy. And actually, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I presented to council, what our strategy is, because you're right. Right before shelter in place took place, we had to cancel actually a number of inspections. So we are now dealing with a universe of about 2,000 inspections that need to get rescheduled. We have actually already contacted about 1,500 of those customers and have either already gotten them rescheduled, or have actually conducted the inspection. So we have about 500 or 600 customers that we're going to have to work with in terms of getting them rescheduled. We're also learning as we communicate with our customers. Some people aren't yet ready to resume their construction. So they're telling us, hey, you know, we're not ready yet for the inspection. We'll get back in touch with you when you're ready, just because they have to make sure contractors are available and can come to the site. But yeah, good question. Obviously, there is a backlog that we have to manage and get those inspections conducted so that we can continue to serve all of our customers.
And now they have one more option, a video inspection.
That is true. And we're continuing to use those, absolutely, for those projects that qualify.
I know
Okay.
there's a Ram looks like he wants to ask you a question personally.
Yes, we're going to call on him just right before that. And you were speaking of the video inspections. So there was a question about efficiencies that will be implemented, asking, are there any efficiencies implemented because of COVID-19, like virtual inspections? So I think you already spoke on the video inspections. If there's anything you want to elaborate more on that as basically an innovation, positive, I guess, outcome coming out of this. And are there any other innovations or efficiencies coming out of the situation?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And I should probably share that for the last year and a half, actually 2 years, the development services partners, so that's my department, fire department, and public works, we have been working together to actually transform our development services. And that is through new technology tools. So we've been on a journey for about a year and a half, 2 years, in upgrading our technology. We actually just last fall upgraded our permitting system. And now we're in the process of implementing Project Docs, which will further our capability in terms of electronic plan review and fully integrate it into our permitting system. So technology is going to be a big part of improving our efficiencies and improving our service to our customers. So there is one item that we did initiate doing shelter in place, and that was something that we were working on already, digital inspection forms. So believe it or not, our inspectors use lots of paper as they conduct their inspections. So there was a paper form that they had to fill out on site. Then they had to come back to the office to input the information or either scan the paper document. So now we have a digital inspection form. It's loaded on our inspectors' tablets, so either iPads or another type of tablet, and they can do their inspection on site, input all of the needed information. So obviously that saves us a lot of time, saves our customers time, and at the end of the day will also save us money. So definitely some efficiencies there for sure. And we're going to continue using those digital forms.
Okay, terrific. We are going to call on Ram. He's on the webinar right now on Zoom. So we're going to unmute your line, Ram, and you can ask your question directly to Director Rosalynn Hughey. And I'm sorry, I think I'm saying it's Rosalynn, yes?
Rosalynn, thank you.
I have someone that I call Rosalynn, and my mind just keeps automatically. I'm so sorry, Rosalynn. So Ram, are you ready to ask your question?
Yes, I am. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Hughey, yes, that was very nice listening to your talk. My question deals maybe a little bit more broader on a higher level planning. Given the impact of COVID, anecdotally, it appears that it might impact high dense population areas. So given that, is the city going to revisit? I know there is a big push for high density housing because of the housing shortage. How is this going to impact, even though we understand we don't know whether the COVID is going to be here for the near term or a longer term. So that's one part of it. And then let me make a comment and an observation. I also feel a lot of the employers, as you may have heard, big employers are recommending, even after COVID, people to maybe work from home. So I feel that this might, at least for those high-tech people, maybe, people that can work remotely, they might actually even leave the area and then go elsewhere, maybe to the Central Valley, wherever, right, where housing is cheaper. So maybe there is a good and a bad here, you know what I mean? In terms of, on one hand, maybe that might ease the housing shortage situation if people choose to move away from the area. And the second thing is, what do we then do with the densely populated areas if another pandemic were to hit? Isn't that a concern? I'm sorry, maybe it's a long-winded
No.
question, but hopefully you got the gist of my question. From a planning perspective, what would you do?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. And, as planners and economic development practitioners, we're beginning, right, to think about, the longer term impacts of COVID-19. And if they might be some changes in terms of commercial office development, how employers decide to house their staff. Like you said, if there's going to continue to be a need to house employees on site. And think about it too, there might be some changes, right, into how the space is designed. So whereas we were, currently even in a situation where the average square footage per employee is quite low, given the impacts of COVID-19, that may now increase to ensure there's enough physical distancing between employees who are actually working in the office. So I think there are a number of factors. I think, we're going to have to wait and see all of the impacts, but as you mentioned, a lot to think about. I think, though, that one thing that's very exciting about San Jose is that we are uniquely positioned, particularly here in the South Bay, in terms of sustainable development. We have the infrastructure, we have new transit investments coming that I think has us positioned well. That, as you mentioned, we're still in a housing crisis. Probably now, as a result of COVID-19, housing is even more important than it ever was. So to the extent that we're still going to have to accommodate a lot of housing in the city, I think the city is still well positioned to see continued development, continued interest by investors. So we still remain quite hopeful, but as you mentioned, none of us really fully can understand what the impacts of COVID is really going to be over the long term.
Thank you very much, Director Hughey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we have Walter also who's joining us. It's not exactly a question for planning, but it's about homelessness. Why is the homeless population growing in District 10? What is the permanent solution to resolving this issue? How many homes are slated to be built in District 10? When and where? And before I kind of turn that over to both of you to address, we are planning to have an entire session dedicated to housing and homelessness, and a lot of these topics will be covered. So just in the interest of time, I do want to honor Walter's question and hand it over to you guys. So I'll hand that over to the council member.
Well, that might be more appropriate for me. I think, there's a growing number of homeless people all over the city, not just in District 10. In fact, the virus has actually helped us remove many encampments. The ones that are remaining have been offered services and have refused services. I think that the county calls them service resistant. I think that there's a lot of need, there's a lot of reasons why people become homeless, and not all of them have to do with the cost of housing. As I've said many times at City Council, there's a lot of people who are mentally ill or have drug addiction issues, which need to be addressed. The county, in fact, I've pushed to implement something called Laura's Law at the county level, which did not go through, which basically, advocated to get mentally ill folks the help that they need through conservatorship. And so that didn't happen, and a lot needs to happen to help those people who are severely drug addicted or mentally ill. And that's not something that the city can handle. Now, the city is building many housing projects, and I don't know if Rosalynn has an idea, but we always talk about the one on Gallup Drive. In fact, we talked about it, was it yesterday in our one-on-one meeting? There's one on Gallup Drive, a larger project, and there's one on Blossom Hill Road on Blossom Avenue. And I don't know if you remember those off the top of your head, because that's not your district, but do you want to comment on those?
Yeah, and thank you so much for the question, because, the homeless situation in the city is quite dire. And, all of us are really quite concerned and trying to figure out how we address it. And, thankful our mayor and our city council, that they really are leaders in this area, looking for every possible tool to help address the issue. And I would add that even at the state level, a huge push to make sure that affordable housing projects and projects for transitional housing and projects for permanent supportive housing can get through. And so it's going to take a lot of work. And to your point, we have built, I know the housing department is very much involved in identifying locations for transitional housing, for permanent supportive housing. We just, within the last couple of months, there's been a groundbreaking project near the downtown area. But obviously, as you mentioned, the need for housing for the homeless is throughout the city. It's in every single council district. And I think it's just going to continue to take just a variety of different tools and partnerships, right? It's like the local government, we can't do it on our own. It's going to take partnerships with the state, with nonprofits, with private companies even. And we know that there've been many companies who've actually donated funds toward housing for the homeless. So we're going to have to continue to utilize all those sources.
Absolutely, Rosalynn. And there has been a project that's been approved on Gallup Drive. You and I see it every month when we get together. I don't know when the groundbreaking is going to be, but it's 47 units, I think, if I remember off the top of my head.
50 units, yes. And so that's received its planning entitlement. It actually took advantage of one of the new state laws to streamline the process. So it's got its planning entitlement, and now, they'll be, I'm sure, pushing to submit their drawings for building. And
we have a mixed low-income housing and regular housing at the VTA lot on Blossom Hill Road and Blossom Avenue that's been submitted on the VTA lot recently. And so that there's that's going forward. That's going to be about 300 units. It's a big one. And so, the district, our district, for that question is, I haven't really turned down too many housing projects that weren't really on the river or something, So there was only one project that I can remember that I turned down, and it was on a riparian setback, and it was going to put a shadow on the Almaden Lake. That's the only project that I can remember not approving in my council district. There was one other tiny home site near the railroad tracks that I didn't feel was an appropriate place. But that's the only things I've ever not approved of in my district. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, I know. We do have to start wrapping up. Were you going to say something, Councilmember?
No, I was going to say we have to start wrapping up, but
Yeah.
maybe we have one more question, or
Yeah, we have two more on the line right now, Noor and Rhonda. So we're going to call on Noor really quick. And are you ready for your question, Noor, to ask your question? Noor, are you there?
Yeah, just thank you for doing this, and just want to check in with both of you and see if the current situations there would be a rollback on the fees requested of builders or homeowners in the process of building their homes, and what kind of fees rollback would there be?
Yeah, so with the current situation, will there be any inspections or fees waived? Inspection fees waived for people who lost their jobs was also an additional question on top of that.
Yes, so currently there are no proposals to waive any of the permitting fees. I'll just add that it's those fees that actually pay my department's salaries, and currently that proposal it is not on the plate. I do know that, and Councilmember Camus, you know more about this than I do, but as it relates to the freeze on rents for landlords, I know that there was a provision passed that landlords that needed to do any type of repairs or maintenance on their units, that their permitting fees would be waived during the time of the pandemic. And I think it's through the end of the calendar year. And the City Council just recently passed that.
yes, that's the only fee that I know that was waived for owners of rental properties, and that's it. And it's only for fixing up their rental units, those are only the ones that are rent controlled, even. So it's a very specific segment of that. And we have reduced fees in the past for small home remodels. I could tell you that, matter of fact, when I first came into office, I was thinking about doing a kitchen remodel, and the permitting fees were almost $3,000. And I waited a couple of years, and actually Chu Chang brought down the fees. I think it was less than $1,200 when permitting fees for my kitchen remodel. So the fees have gone down. I know sometimes they are a little exorbitant, but it's better to have a project that is inspected and quite frankly above board, because when you go to sell your house, you can get in trouble for illegally conducted work. Isn't that right, Rosalynn?
That is correct.
Rosalynn? Yeah.
And we want to encourage all of our homeowners, right, to come in and get the required permits that's needed, because as you mentioned, number one, it does add to the overall value of the property when it comes to time of resale, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, we're going to take one last question from Rhonda before we do. Apologies to everyone else that had questions. We got questions from Nextdoor, Facebook, email, and through Zoom here in the webinar. So if you did have any questions, we will reach out to you. Our staff is on the line. And if we do not get back to you, please reach out to us at district10@sanjoseca.gov with any questions you may have, whether they are for the Department of Planning, Building and Code Enforcement, or if they are just general questions. We will direct your question to the appropriate department and get back to you. So with that, I just want to open up to the final question from Rhonda. Rhonda, are you ready to ask?
Yeah, it's a really simple question, so it should be quick. I am trying to be in the process of building an ADU in our backyard, and there was some problems with the property line, which I think has been fixed now. The plans have been submitted. If I know what the permit number is, can I reach out to the ally? I didn't know that there was an ally to find out the status of our revised permit. How do you do that? It
Yes.
seems to be stuck.
Hey, we want to get you unstuck. Absolutely. We want to get you unstuck and get you moving through the process. So again, I don't know if my PowerPoint slide can be shared again.
I took
But-
a picture of that slide
Oh,
just to
great.
make sure.
Right. So we have the ADU Ally email address. If you send an email to that address, you will reach Sarah Shaw. Sarah is our ADU Ally, and she would be delighted to help you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rhonda.
And if anybody ever has any problems, I can't tell you how many times my office has helped connect people, make sure that they get to the right resources. So my office is standing by to help anybody with any of these questions as well. And you can reach us at district10@sanjoseca.gov. I want to thank Rosalynn. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us. Thank you for being here. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today and to our Community Connections segment. And I want you to join me next Wednesday, May 20th at 5:30 for a virtual chat with Jeffrey Reagan. We'll be discussing the navigating these financial uncertain times. And I want to remind you that if you want to submit your questions, please submit it online to submit questions to district10@sanjoseca.gov. And check out my newsletter and event on our events webpage for upcoming segments. And we have a lot more coming up, a lot more exciting guests lined up here. So again, we have a special guest coming up from our library and the school district and our Parks and Rec. So we love having guests on because they help us educate the public about their city and how to get things done. Thank you, Rosalynn, and this is Johnny Camus for Community Connections. Take care.